All right. Is it recording? This is the intro. This is the pilot to the Under the Wing podcast. We have me. I'm Mike Mooney and Joseph Havens. We're the hosts of this podcast. We have a lot of fun stuff in store. This is kind of a mock-up, a demo, our first one. So that only means it's only going to get better than this.
Yeah, definitely gonna get better. My voice will get better too. Spent a lot of time Friday night at the Phillies game screaming my head off. So still recovering, but wanted to make sure we got this out on time.
Nothing better than yelling at Tigers fans,
Right?
Ain't that right?
They were celebrating all night till our boy Duran came out. But enough about that because this isn't a baseball podcast. We got a lot of fun stuff in store for you, so we'll get it right ahead with it. Our first topic tonight, just going to talk about Hall of Fame game recap. So my biggest thing I got out of this game, and obviously I know in preseason they're not going to give their schemes away. They're not going to do what they're actually going to do in the regular season. But I saw the Chargers a lot of times start out by running the football, and it was very effective. And they just used it to just begin the play action game, and it helped them out. It helped Trey Lance look really, really comfortable. And he's just a guy that hasn't seen a lot of action in the NFL, hasn't seen much action coming out of since college. So somebody like that, it's a good confidence booster in the first game. And my other big takeaway was, boy, the Lions. I mean, Dan Campbell has to be furious.
Did you see his face after that fumble?
Oh yeah, the fumble in the very first play.
It looked like his season was over before it started.
It's just right where they left off against Washington and Detroit. It's like the very thing they wanted to avoid, they just gave the ball away.
It's not a good morale start.
No, it was not. And I get it, your backups. I get it, your third stringers, your guys trying to make a team.
Well, they had a linebacker out there. Did you see that? I'm fairly certain that it was said in the game that the kid that fumbled that kickoff was a linebacker. So who starts off a preseason game by having your linebacker receive a kick?
Well, take that as a note, kids. Do not put your linebacker out as kick returner.
Dan Campbell really doesn't know as much as we think he does.
Right? Unless he's trying to confuse us. I mean, former linebacker himself, he must have been like, you know what? Let's get this guy some touches because I know when I was a linebacker, I wanted some touches. But it's just not the way. At least it was a preseason game. Let's not do that in the regular season unless you're playing the Eagles. And, hey, do it. But,
yeah. I say we have their middle linebacker go out there as a quarterback. Throw a few passes, Hey, I wouldn't mind that.
That would be awesome. Have the Lions linebacker go out there. He might be do better than Jared Goff.
Yeah, probably. I think Jared Goff's on like a downward spiral. Speaking of quarterbacks, though, Trey Lance looked really good.
Trey Lance looked amazing.
I think that they said that was his fifth start in a game. So no, not play wise. That was his fifth game. I think he's been able to start and prove himself. You're gonna have to double check that.
I want to double check this
because he really hasn't had much time to prove himself, and he's been in the league for 4 or 5 seasons, and I think he looked really good. I understand it's a preseason game, but I think he's good enough to be a starting quarterback for the Giants.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, when you got Russell Wilson and
Jameis
Winston. They're dancing it. They're dancing at practice instead of actually by the way, we'll get into it a little bit later, but the NFC East, some of the videos I've seen coming out of training camps, the Giants and the Cowboys, you guys look like jokes, by the way. You don't look like you're taking anything serious. So
did you see it? They're riding around on it was brooms at the Cowboys as if they were riding freaking horses.
Yeah, they were trying to be Cowboy Dak. Come on now.
Ride his way to another playoff loss.
Yeah, right. No wonder you guys get one and done every year.
Crazy.
But back to Trey Lance. He had 120 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he went 13 of 20 in a preseason game. That's pretty decent. I mean, he probably wasn't playing with any first strings. Will Dissly, he had a good game too. That was the only name I really knew, to be honest with you. On their offense, that was the only name I knew besides Trey Lance. And to see the way they just moved the ball right down up and down the field all game, it was just a masterclass by the Chargers backup.
I was excited to see Trey Lance start, to be honest with you, because I haven't seen much from him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a backup in Dallas for last year, right?
Yeah, basically, I believe it was he got drafted into San Francisco. He got hurt. They brought in Jimmy G. Jimmy G won him like 7 games at the end of 2017, or I think that was it, or 2018, one of them. And then he basically took his job and was on the bench ever since. And then it was Brock Purdy that took his job, actually.
Well, eventually, I remember Jimmy G got hurt, and everyone was excited to see Trey Lance start, and then he got hurt. And that's when we saw Mr. Irrelevant become fairly irrelevant in the NFL.
And then Brock Purdy took his job, and then they shipped him to Dallas last year. And they started it was like Cooper Rush or Will Grier over him last year. It was awful. It was awful. Trey Lance hasn't ever gotten a real shot. So if Justin Herbert is to go down, I think Trey Lance deserves a shot, and I think he would really do well. He looked really, really good on Thursday.
I'd be excited to see such a thing.
And with a coach like Jim Harbaugh too, somebody that's been around the league, somebody that's a former quarterback himself, that would just be really, really good for the team, really good for that young quarterback to finally get his opportunity in the NFL.
Not as young as you think anymore. I think that this is his 4th or 5th season.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty sad riding the bench as a former, was it a first-round draft pick?
Yeah, first round.
He was really high up in there.
Well, coming out of college too, nobody really it was almost like a Carson Wentz thing. They went to obviously came from the same school, North Dakota State, but it was a Carson Wentz factor where just like that, right before the draft, it was Trey Lance, and I was like, who? Where'd he come from? Oh, same school as Carson Wentz. Oh, they won their national championship in their league. Well, it's because they play a bunch of nobodies. They play the University of Delaware. So.
Yo, don't talk about my UD like that.
Well, no offense to Joe Flacco, and Rich Gannon, but not many stars are coming out of the University of Delaware.
I mean, you can't be saying that when we're affiliated with the 302
number. I know. But
we love you, adult, but there's not much coming from UD, dude.
Yeah, UD is not known for their football premise. But
Penn State.
But
say Sean. Say Sean Broccoli.
But yeah. He just popped onto the scene very late in the draft process, and it was one of those the 49ers gambled on him, and then it just seemed like they didn't have the patience for him. And I know they were a win-now team, and they've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years, and they've lost them both. So that was probably just weighing on him and weighing on their management too, that look, we can't restart with this rookie guy. And he got injured. Brock Purdy came in, showed him he could be the guy they needed, and they were like, all right, well, time to move on. Sorry, Trey.
Yeah. Other than that, I didn't think I really saw too much from that game.
Yeah.
The Lions didn't really – there's no name I necessarily recognized.
No.
We already know what the Lions are going to look like. Not many changes to that franchise. And they're still going to be scary. They're going to be a force. I don't think they're going to be as powerful as they were last year, but that's only because of Jared's Goff age. It had nothing to do with the Hall of Fame game. If the Hall of Fame game showed us anything, it's that the Chargers can run the ball. Okay, I'm pretty sure I think they got a new running back for that now.
They got Najee Harris, but he had a 4th of July fireworks incident. I think something with his eye, and he's been out of camp or something. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But
yeah.
I believe he should be fine.
If the only thing I really got from the Hall of Fame game was if Herbo goes down, Chargers I don't think are in too bad. No. They actually might be in a better position, which is a little bold to say. But, I mean, Herbo's just the what-if guy. And it also tells me that if nothing happens to Herbert, that next year I honestly think Trey Lance will be a starter somewhere. Oh, it's going to be late in his career, but I think he's going to start putting up numbers, if they're okay numbers or not. So, that's really all I've gotten for the Hall of Fame game.
The only other snippet I got is I did see somewhere today, teams that win the Hall of Fame game are 0-8 in the last year. I think it's 0-8, either making the playoffs or if they get in the playoffs, they're 0-8, their first game. So not looking good for the Chargers, but I think we're not doing our AFC West preview this week, but I'll save it for later. But I think the Chargers might be able to break that this year.
I mean, that's just regular for the Chargers. I don't think that's going to be nothing special. But I think that's time to move on to our next
Yeah,
segment.
moving on to our next topic. We got actually some more preseason preview. This one more so Eagles based. We'll actually be on site this week. First preseason game, first time seeing the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know how much of starters we'll see. I saw somewhere today, I don't know how valid it was, but I saw somewhere today that Vic Fangio had said he does want to play defensive starters. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, we're going to get into players to watch a little bit later, but what are you expecting to see just in the first preseason game?
I think I'm expecting to see not much really. You got to remember it's a preseason game, and ever since they cut back on that fourth game, we haven't seen a lot of starters. It'd be nice to see that defense get out there, and I think that will help if they do get their defense out there. It's not like they're risking a lot of injuries. They're going up against third and fourth strings, and even if it's only for a minute amount of time, and I think that'll give them an early development and just meshing together as a team. Because when you're playing a sport like this, you need to be in that huddle as brothers. So I think that'll give us a little boost coming into the season. Other than that, I mean, that's just skepticism right now. I don't think we're going to necessarily see much from preseason. We already have our team set. There's not going to be necessarily any surprise starters. We're just basically deciding our third and fourth rounds or third and fourth strings. I mean,
yeah.
Hopefully we don't have to see any of them this year, but you can't pray on a healthy season.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I want to see, obviously, I would like to see the starters for at least one drive. And I'm talking about offensive starters.
Well, that's just a bias for me.
I know it's a
I have not seen Barkley live. I'm going to this season. Right? I can promise you that. But I kind of want to see 26 just get a deep run all the way down the field. Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I want to see at least one series of starters. That would be great for me. I think it, like you said, obviously injuries, they lost that fourth game a couple years ago with the adding the last game at the end of the year. So starters really don't play as much now in the preseason. And it's kind of a bummer because it's like some people, they really do only get to go to preseason games. So it's like, yeah, I would love to see my favorite players.
That was us growing up.
Exactly. Growing up, it was we did get to see we would get to see for like the first drive or the second drive, maybe some starters. Now, growing up, like some of the teams were pretty bad. The Chip Kelly era was horrible. So it wasn't always the best football. But seeing like players like LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson, at least,
Even rookie Carson Wentz, we were there for his debut
Carson Wentz when he hurt his ribs. Now, obviously, that's a drawback. That's where it's like, all right, so you went and saw rookie Carson Wentz, but he hurt his ribs in the first preseason game. So it's like, yeah, that's why you don't play your starters. But at that point in time, I don't think they had traded Sam Bradford yet, so I don't think it was set in stone that he was going to be the starter.
Do you remember that game? Do you remember showing up and all these T-shirt hustlers were outside selling number 11 shirts, and we're like,
"Oh yeah,
who the heck is that guy?" Because I mean, I don't even know how old I was at that time. It was like what, 10 years ago or 9 years ago?
9 years ago, so, 2016, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I was down there, So what, 11, 12, something like that, and I didn't care much about football then, and I was excited to see the Birds live. I didn't know anybody on the field. So this number 11 dude, we're like, who's this cat? And he ended up bringing us to the Super Bowl. Of course, Wentz is a touchy subject now. And, maybe we can cover that later. But
that's Chiefs great, Carson Wentz.
The Chiefs special, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Their second string Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. But I know they're not like offensively and defensively, they're not even going to really run any schemes like that. So I can't even say I'm looking for like certain type of plays. If we do get to see like plays or certain type of plays, I would like to see like if they go out for the first series, let Jalen air it out one or two times just to kind of gauge where he's at. Obviously, everybody loves the play from the Super Bowl, the dagger. Like Jalen Hurts is really, really efficient when he throws the ball deep. And I think just one or two passes in each preseason game like that would go a long, long way just to help his confidence. If he can connect on, say he does 2 every preseason game, that's 6. If he can connect on 4 of 6, his confidence going into the season would be so much higher than like if he's just doing it in practice. Getting to play against a live rep team, it's different because when you're playing against actual opponent, it's like, all right, this isn't my teammate. They're actually trying to stop me. Like, yeah, my teammate in practice, they're trying to stop me.
But they don't want to hurt you either.
Yeah, they don't want to hurt you. Like, Hurts isn't going to get pressured like that. Like, in preseason, like, they're not going to gun out to hurt him or anything, but they're going to be coming for you.
The thing is they don't care about your health.
It's live football. They don't care about you. They want to win. Either way, it's preseason or not. They want to win.
They want to prove themselves.
Exactly.
And if your health is in the way, that's not something that they're going to mind. I mean, if you're running in the practice fields with your own dudes, they don't want to get you hurt because they want to win games when the season starts up. I think it's healthy to get some starters out there who are ready to go up against at least some mediocre guys who aren't willing to take them out and take them down.
Yeah, and as the Super Bowl champs, it doesn't matter. Preseason week 1, they're gunning for you. Everybody wants their shot at the Super Bowl champions. So week 1, they're gunning for you.
And this is going to be the season that tests you because, everyone's been studying film against you no matter what, because everybody in the season somewhat is expecting to see you. Every good team, hey, maybe we'll reach them in the Super Bowl. Every NFC team, maybe the playoffs, and of course the East. Everybody's kind of looking at that game of possibly playing the Birds. So, I mean, this is going to be a season that really tells us if this is a franchise team or if it's going to be a little bit less than that.
But moving on to our next segment, kind of same topic here. Some players to watch this preseason game, this first one upcoming. Do you have any players that you would want to watch out for?
In the preseason?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a lot of backups, dude. I fell asleep during the Hall of Fame game. You know what I mean? After 20, I think it was 21-0, I kind of lost it. I saw what I need to see from Trey Lance. I don't think there's going to be too much to prove. I liked how a few of them backup running backs looked, and I think we're going to be able to see what teams are running, what teams aren't. I don't know if there's necessarily a player I have my eye on during the preseason. Of course,
any Eagles players?
New drafts, maybe. Keely Ringo. We haven't seen a lot from him yet. We did. He was the cat that I think did fairly certain he did some really good numbers against Tyreek Hill when he played the Dolphins.
2 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
he might have.
And I don't think he's seen much field time, and he's always been someone I think's been pretty promising. So maybe, I think that's who I'm gonna have my eye on is Keely Ringo, because I would really like to see him do well with our Birds and our current young cornerbacks.
Somebody I got my eye on down here, right in the right. They're AJ Dillon.
Ooh.
So I saw a couple weeks back a report came out that he's not even a lock to make the team. And whenever the Eagles first signed him, I was like, yeah, this is a really good signing. Because if you go back to 2017, the Eagles had Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount. And that was like a 1-2 punch where LeGarrette Blount was your short yardage, down and distance, like 4th and 1. We got to get it. And I know we have the tush push, yada, yada. It's not been proven to hurt anybody. Obviously, it didn't get banned for that reason. So, if it could take a little bit of stress and strain off just the offensive line in general, hand it off on a 4th and 1, AJ Dillon, I think he could really be that guy down at the goal line. Like they're expecting.
What you're saying is he's a power runner that we're not gonna have to worry about him getting hurt. And it's kind of rude to say, but he is far more expendable than someone like Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
So AJ Dillon being out there to take a few punches and take a few reps, I think he's a really good guy to do that. And he's a lot. I don't even know who was our number 2 last year running back.
Well, so last year it was Will Shipley. And,
Well,
last year it was Will Shipley and Kenny Gainwell, but Kenny Gainwell went to the Steelers.
Yeah.
So I do want to see how even throughout the training camp and the rest of the preseason games, I want to see the battle between Will Shipley and AJ Dillon, just because AJ Dillon's a veteran. But Will Shipley showed last year a couple flashes, even in the NFC Championship game. I know Washington had kind of quit, but he had that big long run, and it just kind of was like, okay, this kid's legit. Like, this kid has what it takes. He's big, he's powerful, and I think it's going to be a really, really interesting battle. I don't know if they'll run 3 running backs throughout the season, but one of them is probably going to end up with the practice squad. More than likely, it'll be A.J. Dillon. But still, even having somebody like that in your arsenal is going to be really, really crucial coming down the stretch, because I hate to say it, and I don't want to curse him. I don't want to do anything like that, but it's a long season. Saquon Barkley just ran the most touches he's had in a really long time, most yards he's had ever. And
the most yards in a season ever,
exactly,
including the playoffs.
He's just,
no running back has ran as much as he did in one season, including the playoffs.
Exactly. And he played, 22 games, I believe. So he just overexerted his body last year really, really a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying he's going to, but things happen. All it takes is one wrong step, and he could twist his ankle and be out for a couple games. And somebody like A.J. Dillon, having him on our practice squad or just having him in the bottom of the depth chart, something like that would give me a whole lot of confidence for the next 2-3 weeks while Saquon rehabs little minor ankle sprain. It would be just that confidence, okay, you know what? Season's not over. We're not going to fall apart. And that would just be really, really good for the Eagles to keep him around. And I think he can show that he's worth keeping around.
Well, here's the thing. Are you aiming for longevity or are you aiming for wins? I think if you're going for longevity, you would want to put a risk into someone like Will Shipley as a backup, just because of his age and A.J. Dillon being a veteran. And not only that, because of his age, I mean, you have an on-the-field coach in Saquon Barkley. And we know that he's the kind of player, and I feel like he's somebody who would be not bothered with sharing some tips to the young guys and the young kids to benefit his team. And I think that's the debate there, is what are they going for? And, of course, you have to keep in account that our offensive line is so good. Will Shipley could be a nobody. And anybody we put behind that offensive line is going to have good runs.
Except Miles Sanders.
Well, okay. Keep Booby out of this, okay? This doesn't concern Booby Sanders.
I know. I don't even know if that quote a couple weeks back, I don't even think it was real, but I had to poke at it because if any of it was remotely real, I'm just saying, there's no way he actually thinks that he could do what Saquon does, because he had the same offensive line and didn't do it.
He had the same opportunity, except he crapped the bed. That's the difference.
Pretty much. Another guy I'm looking forward to seeing, if the starters do play on defense, I want to see how Moro Ajomo looks. I know last year he didn't record any sacks, but he had a whole heck of a lot of pressures. And I think, honestly, whoever lines up next to Jalen Carter, your job's going to be easy. It's the Fletcher Cox effect that we've had for the past 12, 13 years. He demands a double team. Jalen Carter will demand a double team. So Moro Ajomo is going to get one-on-one look consistently. And I really do think he's going to be able to step up, and he's going to be able to get at the quarterback. He's going to be able to knock the quarterback down, sack him, do what he's got to do, disrupt the game. And it's going to be just like Milton Williams. And that's why I'm not as concerned about losing Milton Williams this year, as it's Moro Ajomo was doing just everything the same. He was just not the guy recording the sacks. It would be Nolan Smith or somebody else off the edge, or even Jalen Carter. But every time Ajomo was back there. Ajomo had a lot of good stopping in the run too. And I think that's a big, big key in this season, as well as Jordan Davis also. They're both going to be crucial to stopping the run. And with somebody like Jalen Carter back there, it makes your job, like I said, a whole heck of a lot easier, because you've got a one-on-one to focus on instead of oh man, I got the guard and the center coming at me. Nah, the guard and the center are going after Jalen Carter. You've just got a one-on-one head up with the guard, do your thing.
And nobody's going to necessarily, unless he deems himself a threat. I mean, for a little bit in the season, nobody's going to necessarily be studying him as a player. I mean, all the focus is going to be on everybody else around him. You're going to think of the Eagles. Nobody's going to go oh, what about Ajomo and stopping him? And it's just it's going to be a focus on the other players around him, not only on the field, but in the study. And I think he can take advantage of that. So even if he's not a long-term player, even if he doesn't do much, he's at least going to be able to take advantage of the fact that nobody's necessarily going to look at him as much in the film and on the field.
Yeah. Going along with him, I just think second year player Jalix Hunt coming off the edge. He had a really good Super Bowl, really good Super Bowl. He can. I think this preseason will be big if he can show some flashes of what he did in the Super Bowl in the preseason. It's gonna go a long way. I know they do have Azeez Ojulari from the Giants coming off the edge as well. But I just think Nolan Smith, obviously, I think last year he just showed that he's got to be on the edge. He's a dog, and I'm not too sure who's on the other edge. Who is it? Is it going to be Ojulari? Is it going to be Jalix Hunt? We're going to find this out, and I really think it could be either one of those guys. But the hometown guy in me is rooting for Jalix Hunt. The way he played in the Super Bowl, I want him to go out there and show that this preseason. And really in this first game, Thursday, it's your first shot to really show your coaches, show everybody what you've got. And I think he's going to be able to step up to the plate. If you can step up in the biggest game of your career so far, the preseason should be a breeze, man. And I think...
And he's not going up against starters either necessarily.
Right. I think he should just be able to show that it's his job to lose.
That's a man I'm going to be looking at when we're there. Now that you mention it, because I didn't even think about that, but I'm going to be looking for him during that first game.
All right. So we're going to get into our next topic now. As we get a little more better at this thing, we're going to bring you some previews, breakdown. Obviously, we want to show some NFL content as well. We're bringing you our AFC South preview. We're going to talk about what teams do you think and what teams, obviously, we all know Texans are the favorite. But what about the other three teams in the division that might be able to make some noise? My first question is the Texans. CJ Stroud entering year 3 last year, had a down year. Do you think he can bounce back and show everybody that, all right, last year was just some growing pains. This year, we're going to push forward and we're going to be what we need to be, and I can lead this team to what they can be because their offense is really good. Nico Collins and Tank Dell, they're absolute beasts.
And don't forget about Anderson Jr. on the defense.
Yeah.
And they got some studs back there, too.
Exactly.
I think the Texans can, all around be a pretty solid team. But, of course, you're going to need a solid quarterback for that. And I think –
don't forget big CJ GJ back there at safety. I mean, hate the guy, love the guy. He brings a certain passion to every defense. I mean, minus the Lions because I don't even. He really didn't do anything.
He lost relevance.
But
there.
When he was on the Saints, when he's been with the Eagles, he's brought so much passion and so much energy to the defenses he's been on that I think the Texans really did win with that trade.
It's good for you. It's good for you to have a guy that, even though he's cocky and he can be annoying, even as an Eagles fan, kind of piss you off every now and then.
Yeah.
But being able to see him get out there and just get angry, and he's passionate about what he does, and him getting riled up, that'll rile up the guys that are around him too. And I think that will show. I think he's going to be somebody that's good for that morale at least, and get that defense at least angry. These guys are our enemies. I remember seeing him as a young cat with the Saints, and nobody knew who this guy was. And I think it was an interception against Tom Brady, and he's up there screaming in his face, helmet to helmet. And it's like, he's just always been this player. It doesn't matter if you know his name or not. And I think that'll be a good jump start and something good to really send voltage into that defense.
Yeah, he's always been cocky, and I think it'll fit well down there, especially and then DeMeco Ryans' defense. DeMeco Ryans, even in Philly and throughout his whole career, he's always been tough, physical, and that's how he wants his defense to play. And that's just the perfect guy to even come in and hopefully for the Texans become a leader for that defense. And just moving back to the offense too, CJ Stroud needs to step up and be that leader this year for his team. And he's got so many good veterans around him. Even He's got Joe Mixon, too. Joe Mixon, you've been to the highest of highs, and you've made it all the way to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, you didn't win, so not quite the highest of highs, but you've been all the way to the top. You know what it takes. And my next question would be, do you think the Texans can be true contenders? And with somebody like Joe Mixon, you were there when you guys were able to go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs on the Bengals. Like, not to be that guy, but the Bengals defense really wasn't that special. It was about being passionate and being aggressive and just capitalizing on the mistakes that the other team made. And I know he didn't play defense, but still, as an offensive player, you got to be able to be there for your teammates and be the morale booster and all that. And Joe Mixon, you know what it takes to get to that point. Do you think the Texans could just group together as a team and get to that point of being contenders where they could contend with the Chiefs, contend with even the Bengals and
Here's the thing.
Bills?
I think they can. The question is, will they? I think this team has the capability to do this. I think we've seen enough from CJ Stroud to know they can be elite contenders. But this season's going to be a toss-up. This is where we're going to see, is CJ Stroud that guy or is he not? Because you can go in there as a rookie and nobody's really studied you the way they studied you before, and you can go out there and you can dominate. And we've seen it with Carson Wentz. And, of course, he did have the injury that cut him short a little bit. But I think the hardest part was him going into the next season expecting to be dominant, and everybody knew what he was going to do before he did it. So it's how can you – this is getting over that slump as a new quarterback, and it is how can you react to a defense's reaction, if that makes sense. I mean, you go out there your first season or maybe even your second, and you're going to go out there, you're going to grow, and you're going to do well as a quarterback or you're going to do faulty. And it's when you start doing good and when people are like, this guy might be elite, that's when people start watching you. That's when people start thinking about you and spending the week before playing you studying you and trying to take you down. And I think CJ's a guy that is becoming a threat. He's growing himself into a threat. And I think CJ Stroud is going to be watched, and we're going to see this year if he can combat that or not.
Yeah. I think the Texans can do it, but it's going to take a lot of it's a team, obviously team sport.
It's going to take growing.
It's going to take a lot of growing from the Texans as an organization, as a team, and they can do it, but
will they?
And I think as far as the division goes, I think they got that. I'll be plain up and honest with you. You've had it for the last couple of years. You don't have much competition in your division. Your biggest threat is the Colts, but I think they're still – we're going to get into them next, which is actually a great segue into it. But I think, honestly, the Colts, Anthony Richardson –
if he feels like starting.
Yeah, if he feels like starting, but if he can stay healthy, if he can stay on the field, he's a pure athlete. He's good at what he does.
He has the talent. But I don't know if he has the ethic though, or at least or the
if
health.
He doesn't have the work ethic to do it, they gotta find somebody else. And the sad thing is really, if Andrew Luck never gets injured, I honestly think the Colts still have Andrew Luck. He'd probably be, it was 2012 he was drafted, so he'd be getting towards the end of his career. But, I think the last about 10, 15 years for the Colts would look a lot different. But ever since he's kind of had to retire because of his health, they've just been downhill for probably the past, 8 years pretty much, or 6, 7 years maybe.
Well, ever since he pulled that piece out, I mean,
yeah.
And I loved Andrew Luck, but
yeah.
Drew Lock was just the knockoff version of Andrew Luck. I remember saying that. He just, But sorry, that was a little off topic, but
Anthony Richardson, he's got to prove this year that he's the guy. Obviously, he came in his rookie year. Everybody was like, all right, yeah, he's going to be so good coming out of Florida. Like, yeah, he's the man. And then last year we saw, not even the opposite of a competitor, the opposite of what you want out of your quarterback. And if I'm a Colts fan, that's going to make me very nervous. It's going to make me go, whoa. Let me stop and think. Is this really the guy that's going to be able to lead us not only to the playoffs, but to a Super Bowl?
I don't think they're going to be contenders. I think Anthony Richardson could be great, but he's got growing room. and he's going to have to go through growing pains. The Colts are not going to be a contender this year. I would love to be proven wrong. I have nothing against them. I hope JT is able to step up. I mean, he seemed to have a bit of an off season, and we already know what he's capable of. So if you could have an elite quarterback behind him, not even elite, but at least somebody who's okay and who is scary enough to put a little less pressure on JT, and they have an okay wide receiver core. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have great players. You just got to have guys that can deflect off of your great players and step up when they need to step up, much like the Eagles' first Super Bowl run. I mean, we didn't necessarily have the best team around us.
Just takes a little bit of luck, but kind of what you just
but
said.
luck left. So.
Exactly, right? But what you just said, do you think Jonathan Taylor could kind of be in the same situation, kind of do the same thing as what we just kind of saw out of Saquon Barkley last year, where he can just put the offense on his back at certain times and kind of guide his team, will his team into victory?
Of course, neither of us think he's going to be able to replicate what Saquon did or even come close to it. Now, are we thinking of 1,400 or 1,500 yard season? That could be different. I mean, that could be a debate that's up in the air. There's something that I'm just not feeling him. He seems like somebody who's just sizzled out, and he just doesn't have the right team around him that can push him back into his elite state. I still think he's going to be a threat. I think we're going to see good from him, but I don't think he's going to be able to pick himself up like he was able to. He might have a little bit better of a season than he did his elite season, and then I'll eat my own words out of my mouth, because I don't got nothing against JT. I like him, but I don't see him replicating that or carrying his team in that way. And again, I would love to be proven wrong.
Well, then bonus question then. If the Colts say coming to the deadline, the trade deadline's always like it's like between 8 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
So coming to the deadline, they're 3 games under 500. Do you think they're selling Jonathan Taylor? Do you think he'll be traded?
I don't think he will. I think that's something they could do and something realistic that could build them into a better team, because you can't necessarily have a meh running back behind a bad offensive line. Of course, they have Quentin Nelson, but I mean, you have to have good guys around him, and you can't expect to have a Derrick Henry. There's only one Derrick Henry. He can carry just about any team on his back, no matter how bad the offensive line is or isn't. But I don't think they're going to trade JT. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're going to. I think it would be a good idea to. You could probably get a lot of value for him, a few good picks along. There's a lot of teams that would be itching to get JT behind their offensive line. And JT's the kind of guy that I would love to see him in green in the future. I don't see that happening, but I mean, I would love to eat my words on that. But I don't think
JT and Saquon would be scary.
Well, I mean, it'll get to the point if I imagine if we would get him eventually, it would be the downfall.
After Saquon,
Well, not even after, but at least the downfall of Saquon. Maybe 32, 33. He's running back up. He's going to be like a Chiefs McCoy or a Bills McCoy, where he goes out there and he does some razzle dazzle and he has stuff here and there, but he's not going to do what he did before. And he's going to be on injury risk a lot. But I think it's going to be good having there's nothing wrong with having a veteran, because it's not Madden where their stats are just going to drop off and it doesn't impact anybody. I mean, when you're talking about real people, real players on a real field, and the relationships that they can share, and having a good veteran in there not only will add morale, but I like the idea of having veterans and keeping them hanging on a little long. I think Darius Slay probably had a good presence in Quinyon and Cooper DeJean. I don't think they would have performed the same way they did if it wasn't for having a good dude on top of them like that. But I we got a little off topic on that. I don't think JT is gonna wear the green. I would love that though.
Yeah. Going back to what you just said probably a minute or two ago. Derrick Henry. Let's talk about his former team in the Titans. So the Titans, this is an interesting one for me. I think if Cam Ward can come out I don't think Cam Ward will be on the same level as Jaden Daniels last year,
Mm.
but I think Cam Ward, I want to say Cam Ward is somewhere in between Justin Fields and Jaden Daniels. And I want to say he's a little in the middle, but he might be a little bit closer to Jaden Daniels. And I think that he might be the electric spark that the Titans need. I'm not saying they're going to be world beaters. I'm not saying they're going to even make the playoffs. I'm just saying Cam Ward might actually be the quarterback that the Titans have been looking for.
Now, okay, the only issue I have with that is comparing him to Jaden Daniels. Do you think Jaden Daniels would be able to perform with the Titans team now? Like, I think he'd be able to perform, but not at the level where we're like, oh man, Jaden Daniels. You know what I mean? If Cam Ward was on that Commanders team, I think he would perform in a similar way. I mean, maybe not in style, but at least numbers and wins wise, in a similar way that Jaden Daniels did. I saw a few clips of Cam Ward in practice, and he's looking scary. I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff. I think he's gonna definitely lift up the Titans. I mean, it's hard to get worse than 3-14.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's definitely gonna get them wins. I think they're gonna be a middle of the pack team. They're gonna have to build their franchise around Cam Ward. I think he's gonna be someone that's worth building it around. I think they're gonna maybe be just barely over a tied record or barely under.
Okay. Do you think just either 500 or below?
Somewhere around 500. They're going to be dancing around it if it's a low above or a low below. I like Cam Ward a lot. I think Shadir Sanders is going to go out there and show everybody that he's a scum and he's going to crap the bed. But
so you think the best quarterback coming out of the draft is not Shadir Sanders? It'll be Cam Ward.
I mean, 4th round draft pick versus what, a first? Of course, Shadir. Did he?
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. Okay, Shadir Sanders is going to be a bust.
He's gonna be
as coined by Mike.
Look, he's gonna be the last however many Browns QBs where he goes out there and he puts the Brown in Browns, dude. Like, there's not gonna be much other than crap from him, you know.
That's crazy.
If it's
you ever seen the jersey where it's like they got they just start taping on the names on the back? It's just gonna be Sanders, and then next year it's gonna be somebody else.
I think he's somebody who's gonna get humbled. If he's gonna have a good career, he's gonna get humbled with the Browns, and he's gonna get his head in the game, and he's gonna become a Giants legend or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the only way I see him succeeding. I've seen too many clips of him just being just a bit of a turd off the field, and I think that's gonna add too much drama, too much stress. And when what you want from a good team is you want that good team to mesh. They're not going to perform properly if they're too worried about is our quarterback going to be sober Sunday afternoon, like, you know,
crazy.
Or where is he going to be? Is, you know,
yeah.
I don't think he's going to be, you know, that guy. I think Cam Ward is the best thing.
Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves for the AFC North preview. But the last team we got to talk about is the Jaguars. This one's been a difficult one for me. I don't think I feel like I've seen enough of Trevor Lawrence and this Jaguars team to just say I don't think there's anything good happening there.
I mean, there's like Travis Hunter can't be that much of an impact player. I think he's going to be good. He's going to add value to no matter which side of the field they're going to put him on. And a bonus question, what side of the field do you think they're going to put him on? Because I have his college stats written up here on offense and defense. And he has I don't know if they've announced this yet or if they're going to by the time we put this out. But on defense, he had a combined 73 tackles, 8 interceptions, 29 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. And on I think this is 3 seasons, and his first one total college stats.
Now, is this colleges in like both colleges he played at, or just?
I'm fairly certain it's both.
Okay.
His 2022 looked a little rocky. He didn't have a lot of starts in 2022. Of course, he's a new college player, but on offense, he had 149 receptions. He had 1,800 receiving yards, 1,820 to be exact, and 18 touchdowns. I think he's going to be a good player and at least a good morale boost no matter where he is, even if he doesn't perform properly. Where do you think they're going to put him on the field?
They're going to put him at receiver. is too small to be a defensive back. He's
Mm.
I get the lure of like, oh, he's gonna do both. No, he's not gonna do both.
He's not going to do
He's
both.
he's going to play wide receiver. He's gonna be like another Devontae Smith, if anything. Maybe not as good. That could be my Eagles fan bias of Devontae Smith, but I think Travis Hunter is gonna play receiver. He's small. My fear with him, same fear everybody has with Devontae Smith. If he gets hit over the middle by a linebacker, he is going to die. Not actually die, but he's going to get the wind knocked out of him so badly that he's going to think twice the next time he goes to do it.
I've seen Smitty take a few hits.
Yeah,
I have never seen a man that small in the NFL take hits like Smitty does.
Who knows? He could prove us wrong, and he could be a baller. Obviously, in college, he was good, but college and the NFL are so different.
Yeah.
Like college, probably, I don't know, 15, 20% of players you actually play against, those players are going to go to the NFL. But the rest of them, there's just a bunch of good high school players that made it to college.
Yeah.
And there's a stark difference between the college players and the NFL players. And they're so much bigger, so much faster. And somebody small like Travis Hunter, that he could be at risk for injury just because he's a smaller guy. A bigger guy throwing his weight around at Travis Hunter is not going to be good.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense for me. I don't know what his presence is going to look like because of, Brian Thomas. Yeah. And the way he's been able to prove himself. And I'm going to be excited to see more from him this year. And I think he's going to step up a little more. I think the Jags might have a little bit better of a season they did last season. Of course, like I said with the Titans, it's hard to get worse than 4-13, unless, of course, you were the Titans or you went 3-13 or 4. Yeah. But do you think the Titans are going to outplay the Jaguars, or the Jaguars outplay the Titans?
Well, before I get to that, let me ask you this. So now that we've recapped them all, give me your official record predictions for each team, and your final AFC South standings.
AFC South. Here's what I'm thinking. Okay, I think JT's going to step up from what he did last season. Of course, like I said, I don't think he's going to necessarily do amazing, but I mean, you don't need amazing when you're in the AFC South. Okay, I don't want to. That's pretty rude to say, but I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. So I think at the top we're going to have the Texans. I think they're going to have around 12, 13 wins. I don't think we're going to see anything more than 13, maybe even 11. I think Colts and Titans are going to be tight. I think they're going to be tight. I think I'm gonna have to say, because we've seen enough from the Colts and there's nothing really new with them, I'm gonna say that they get barely outplayed by the Titans. I think the Titans are actually a hot take here. I think Titans are going to be slightly above 500, and Colts are going to be around 500.
So you're saying give the Texans 13-4, say 9-8 for the Titans.
9-8 for the Titans. I actually would say 12-5 for the Texans.
Okay.
I don't know if they're a 13-4 team yet. I would love to be proven wrong. I love the Texans team. I've seen them stink my whole life, and I wouldn't mind to see them give a few wins. But yeah, I mean, we don't even want to speak about massage hands Watson.
Colts 8-9.
Colts, they're going to be 8-9, maybe a little less, and I think Jags are going to have a slightly.
Jaguars.
I think they're going to have a 6-win season.
Okay. 6-11.
I think the AFC South is going to look a little better this year than it did last year. Because they did get a few upgrades, and I think it's hard to come out of a bad season and hit it with another bad season, especially considering the amount of talent that all these teams should have. You break down each team, and they should all look really good.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they just didn't perform. And I think that's not going to happen again. I don't think we're going to have a lot. I mean, of course, the whole AFC South is a little bit of a letdown, but I don't think it's going to be remotely what it was last year. I think they're all going to pick themselves up a little more. And the Texans are going to – I don't think they're going to do much in the playoffs. They're going to be contenders, They're going to be scary, maybe get a win. But that's where I think the AFC South is going to be. What about you? What's your predictions for the AFC South?
This is actually a great segue into our next topic, my bold take.
Ooh.
And this is my bold take. So, look, I'll give you my record prediction first. Obviously, Texans, I'm right there with you. 12-5, 13-4. I'll give them 12-5. I think the Colts, actually, I think the Colts are going to step it up. I'm going to say either 10-7 or 11-6 for the Colts. Now, this is my bold take. My bold take is that the Titans, you said the same thing. The Titans are going to finish higher than the Jaguars this year. And I believe that for a fact. I believe that the Titans are going to drag themselves out of the bottom of the AFC South. And I believe not only are they going to drag themselves out, they're going to have more than a 4-game lead over the Jacksonville Jaguars when it's all said and done. I think if not like 7-10 or 8-9, I really do think we could see them right at like a 9-8.
I'm pretty sure we have the same bold take, Joey. I'm so sorry to take that from you.
Hey, it happens. But I really do think...
Is it too late to change that banner to Mike's bold take, Joseph? He was like, I'm just going to take his material here.
Right? But I really do think... I really think the Titans... Obviously, they're set up with the last place schedule. Like, if we saw anything, I think they could follow literally what the Commanders had last year. And you can hate me for it, but the Commanders had the division's last place schedule. And that plays really, really well into if Cam Ward can be what I think he can be, he should have no issue with some of the teams he's got to play. Mm-hmm. Like, he should be able to just go out there and ball out. And I think 9-8 is very attainable. I don't think they'll make the playoffs because obviously the AFC is loaded.
I agree.
And it's going to be very, very hard. If you don't win more than like 11 games, you're probably not making the playoffs in the AFC.
Even with 11 wins.
Even with 11 wins, you might be a bubble team that just gets out. And I think the Jaguars, we've seen so much in the last couple of years. It's just the same old blah. And I think this is finally the year where it just all finally just implodes completely. I think they finally realized that, Trevor Lawrence, sorry, dude, you're not the guy.
So you're going to rank them lower than I had them. I had them doing slightly better.
I think like a Titans like 3-14 or 4-12? No, 4-13 or something like 3-14, 4-13, something like that. Like, I don't see them winning that many games. I really don't. I mean, I could be wrong, but I really don't see the Jaguars doing that much this year.
I'm sorry, Dougie.
And that's my bold take. Is just I think the Titans are going to be way better than they were last year, and the Jaguars are going to be at the bottom of that division like they've been for the past pretty much 20 years or so.
All right. Now, I see that we're getting pretty close to our finish line of our pilot episode. Of course, we're going to have a lot more in store. We're going to have upgrades. This is just the roughest demo you're going to get. You're going to get an intro, a better setup going, some more fun segments. We're going to get more comfortable on the camera. And
I'll have my voice back, too.
He'll have his voice back, believe it or not. But I'm just trying to get this to the end here quick because
last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mike's question of the week.
Now you're going to learn a little bit about us, and it's called Under the Wing Podcast. I had to start off with an Eagles-themed question during the pilot, and I wanted to get to this quick because this might suck up a little more time than we intend. So my question of the week is, if you could have any prime Eagles quarterback, who would it be? If you had to choose between the prime of every Eagles QB, because you have to think it's prime.
So, like, now when you say this, can I say, like, if I was to say I want Michael Vick in the prime, would I be able to say that? Or
it would be his Eagles prime.
Okay.
How did they perform with the Eagles?
Okay.
Because, of course, you could have, one of our backups, of course, that, like, didn't we have Joe Flacco for a bit? I want prime Joe Flacco. No.
Nobody wants prime Joe Flacco. Maybe the 2012 Ravens fans.
But
they want prime
But
Joe
that's
Flacco.
what I'm saying is even the one seasons.
Honestly, I'll put my recency bias aside. I think, to be quite honest with you, prime Randall Cunningham
I
from
knew you
back
were
in the
gonna say
day.
it.
I think prime Randall Cunningham would be like. Don't get me wrong. Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. He's going to do great things. He's already won a Super Bowl MVP, something that Randall's never done, something that Donovan's never done, something that only other Nick Foles has ever done for this Eagles team. But Randall Cunningham was just the first of his generation to do what he did. And I think if Randall Cunningham was around today, his size, like he would be just basically another Josh Allen. And I think that the Eagles, it would be the same thing. Like if they had the same roster except prime Randall Cunningham, like I know everybody likes to say, "Oh, Justin Herbert could win this." No, he couldn't.
What
He couldn't
if?
win the Super Bowl. Like exactly. What if? And like, oh, Lamar Jackson. No, he couldn't. He's not the same. But I think the closest you could get to what the Eagles have now is Randall Cunningham, and just with his ability to escape the pocket, move around, make plays, throw the ball down the field. I think he had it all together in one. He was like the perfect athlete at quarterback. I think that really that's who I would want.
Here's my look.
Hurts is a close second.
Are you going to say you think Randall Cunningham can perform in this league right now? I mean, the league we have before us. My thing is with Randall Cunningham is that he was good for the league he was in. Nobody saw it coming. Like you said yourself, that he was, what'd you say, your exact wording? He was a game changer.
Yeah.
And the thing with game changers is that nobody sees him coming. He ran. What quarterback runs in the pocket? You didn't see much of that in early football. And that's something tough to get around as a defense. How are we going to wrap our head around Randall Cunningham? It's something we've seen. I've seen it all growing up in my life. You know, you always have that broken Madden player that you don't let your brother play as. I mean,
right?
I swear if he picked Eagles, Mike Vick 2007 one more time, I was about ready to throw that PlayStation 2 out the freaking window. And now when he lands on the Ravens, I'm about in the same boat. But I don't think Randall Cunningham, I don't know if he would be able to perform as well. I think he would be a good performer. But when you look at all the other primes that you have seen in the Eagles franchise and you try to put them in the league today, I think things are going to look a lot more different.
So who would yours be? Jalen Hurts?
Now, look, I am on the Hurts train, but this might be a little bit of a hot take. And I think you know where this is going.
I know where you're going with this one.
Prime Carson Wentz, if you could maintain what he did in his prime, he was a preview of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
If not a little better. I remember, like, how can a man of this size move in the way that he does? And I remember walking down the street wearing my Carson Wentz jersey at, like, my 11, 12 years old, and dudes are yelling out the window, honking their horn, Wentz! And I remember that era, and I remember when he was dominant. And the thing is my argument with Randall Cunningham, we don't necessarily have to worry about that. I mean, of course, he can't play in the league that he's in today, but that's different. That's not prime Wentz. We only saw one season of his prime. So it's really hard to tell. But if we're able to stretch out over the course of 5 to 10 years, I would take Wentz almost every single day of the week. He was a fantastic, not only playmaker, but he was somebody who could get the job done. He took us to the Super Bowl. Of course, we don't know how that season would have ended without him. Or with him, I should say. Without him getting hurt, we don't know how that season was going to look. But I think Carson Wentz is the guy for prime. I mean, like with Randall Cunningham and him coming up into this league, I don't know how he would perform. Carson Wentz, his prime was in 2018. Now, that doesn't seem so long ago. I don't think it's too long ago. Of course, a lot changes in, 7 8 years.
7 8 years.
But I think if you put prime Wentz into this league, he would have the same dominance that he had before.
Yeah. I think a couple things. So both of them, It's their athleticism, just freaky athleticism.
Mm.
So number one is Randall Cunningham did something that no quarterback in this league could ever dream of doing. And that is the play against the Buffalo Bills, where he literally, Bruce Smith, the all-time leader in sacks in the NFL, went right over top of him, and he got up and launched a 96-yard bomb. Like, I don't see, maybe Josh Allen. Like, and I know we keep comparing to Josh Allen, but like, that's the only guy I can think that could really be able to do that. And then Carson Wentz. I think of that play in Seattle when he's running and he's literally falling and he throws it down the field to Nelson Aguilar. Like, we have seen, like, I'll give it to you, Carson Wentz, if he never tears his ACL, I think they still win the Super Bowl. I think they go on to continue to dominate. But obviously, I don't think we've ever seen players as good as those two. Jalen Hurts has definitely had his moments. But even, like, those two are so special that, honestly, really, you just made a case that really either one of those could, I think, play today.
Yeah.
Obviously, Carson Wentz has played a little bit closer to this time period, so it is probably a little bit easier to go.
That's my bias toward him. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's a little bit
easier to go. All right, Carson Wentz would probably fit better. And really, obviously, we saw the effects of the ACL. He didn't want to run as much. He knew he was.
But Randall Cunningham went through similar stages as well.
Exactly. In 91, he got his injury. He blew his knee out as well. It's like, just not as dominant. But with Randall, he was able to come back with the Vikings. Now, he had a great team around him, and Randy Moss was a great receiver to have. And Chris Carter on the Vikings after he was with him in Philadelphia, another great receiver to have.
But my thing is, I was just about to say this. Who did Carson Wentz have?
Nelson Aguilar, baby.
He had Aguilar.
Alshon Jeffrey
was good. He was getting to the end of his career, but he was nice.
He was at the very end of his prime, but he was solid.
He was coming. He was at the point of the roller coaster where you're starting to
hold your breath.
Wentz's favorite target though was Zach Ertz all day. It was Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz was no better than 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 Zach Ertz. Like, that was his prime. That was Wentz's guy. Wentz literally set the season record of receptions by a tight end to Zach Ertz with 116, I believe it was, and that was in 2018 or 2019. Like, that was his go-to guy. And Zach Ertz has glue for hands. Like, I feel like without Zach Ertz, maybe Carson Wentz not as good.
But imagine what he would be able to do with A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert, who I think is a similar caliber kind of tight end as Zach Ertz.
And magically, though, for some reason in 2017, Nelson Aguilar grew a pair of hands. Before that, didn't happen. So
his hand works. They worked most of the time, I'd say.
At least that year. But the rest of the seasons now. But I mean, either one of those guys really. And honestly, even obviously recency bias, Jalen Hurts, he can win with this team. Obviously, it's clear. He went and won a Super Bowl MVP with them. But I'll stick to what I said. I think Randall could do it.
Yeah, and for those of you wondering,
the reason why we're not bringing Donovan McNabb into this, at least me personally,
is that
one, with Donovan McNabb,
I
didn't grow up in his era. Of course, I didn't grow up in the era of Randall Cunningham,
as you may be able to clearly tell. But with Donovan McNabb, I haven't seen a lot from him personally. And all that I really know from him is that he can't win big games. I think according to his stats and according to how he played, he is the best Eagles quarterback. But at the end of the day, if you can't function in a Super Bowl, then what's the point of having a good quarterback? Like, your goal in the end is to get a Super Bowl ring. That's why I love Jalen Hurts so much, is because he's a guy who can do that. And he's somebody who can step up in big games. And he does better in big games than he does in ones that nobody's really paying attention to. And I'm not going to jump ahead, but I mean, I think we're going to beat Dallas
week 1 because that's going to be a really big game, and Hurts can perform big games. That's why I'm kind of leaving McNabb out of this. I mean, stat-wise, he is the best we've had, but he wasn't there in big games.
Yeah. My thoughts on Donovan McNabb, kind of the same thing. It's just, and hate me for this one too. It was Dak Prescott, Tony Romo before Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. Like in the regular season, he could do it all. He was the man. But get him into the postseason.
Don't forget about the NFC Championship. So I mean,
exactly. Get him into the postseason. What's he do? Interceptions. I mean, some of them were not his fault. But when you have 3 interceptions against the Panthers in one game in an NFC Championship and you're at home, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, we'll give you one of them wasn't on you, but 2 of them, they were.
Yeah.
Like, throwing it right to Rondé Barber in 2002. That's on you, dude. I'll give you 2001 when you were at the Rams. That was the greatest show on turf. You know what? You guys played a heck of a game, but like that, like, come on. Now, the Super Bowl, you can make a case either way, like, well, the receiver should have caught it, or at the end of the day, if he doesn't throw it 10 feet above the receiver's head and the receiver can make a good catch, we might be looking at a 3rd ring, but who knows?
He just never seemed like the guy that could step up for me.
Yeah, he just never.
And of course, my opinion is not as valid as somebody much older than me because I was born at his downfall when his career was starting to come to an end.
When he was on the Skins and the Vikings.
Yeah. Oof.
But that's all I got for you guys tonight. You got anything else for him?
I think that's all. I mean, like I said, this is just a rough draft right now. Things will look better. Hopefully next week, even the setup will look better. We'll figure more out with the mic. We're going to get more comfortable on here. And, I mean, it's only up from here. So if you enjoyed this one, you're definitely going to enjoy more. We have more things coming. We have face-offs coming, going up against what was the idea? We're going up against whatever fan we're playing that week. And that's going to happen sometimes where we have prank calls coming up. Don't tell nobody. The Broad Street Bullies, you know. And we got a lot of fun stuff in store for the future. So I think that's it. That's out. Hopefully.
Just make sure to, like, subscribe. 302 Birds as well. Big shout out to them. They're the ones helping us with this.
Love you, Dalton.
Definitely check them out. They do great things every Wednesday night. So definitely check them out as well. But other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, fantastic night. And we'll see you next week.
And first and foremost, go Birds.
Go Birds.